What's up, everybody? This is Connor and Joshua with Chamber One Tactical. Today we've got a really exciting review and comparison on the Palmetto State Dagger Micro and the Glock 43X. So let's get into it.
All right, what's up, YouTube? The one we're going to start off with will be the Palmetto State Micro Dagger. So let's chamber one.
For the Palmetto State Dagger Micro, this review is on the Micro, obviously, but we did have both slides for the gun, so that was one thing that we were, going to talk about. Is we reviewed it with the standard slide that you get on the gun. That is optic cut, and it's got its metal sights, and they're adjustable and all that. The one thing we were both a little disappointed in is, and this is not a huge deal, but it could be if you don't have the right tools, is the rear sight was not at all where it should have been. It was pushed way over to the right, I believe.
Yeah.
And it, when we started backing up, shooting a little bit further, is where we still really started to notice that the gun was just hitting. I believe we were hitting to the left, weren't we?
Way left.
So that was a little disappointing. Just seeing that either somebody didn't test, shoot the gun to see if it was actually hitting where it was supposed to, or it just got looked over, or what. We don't really know, but
and you could tell too just by looking at it, it wasn't centered
at all.
So, even if they were just doing it with their eye, it was not very centered at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's not a big deal to us because we have the tools to be able to fix that kind of thing. But the set screw, once you take that set screw off, it's still really, really tight in there. So you had to have either a Glock sight pusher tool, or you got to mar up your sight by putting a punch on it and tapping that thing over. And then it's kind of hard to get it exactly where you want it,
right,
if you're having to use a punch. So that was a little disappointing from them. We don't really want to make any excuses for them, because the price point is good at $339, but you still want to make sure that the firearm you're getting is going to be accurate and it's coming right out of the box ready to go.
Well, and that's the point too of a review, is to find out, hey, what are you getting? When you get it, what should you expect?
Right. And to their defense, we also had the comp slide that we bought from them separately. So we bought the gun with the OD green standard length slide, and we also bought a comp slide from them, and the comp slide came perfect. We didn't have any issues with it. We didn't have any issues with the sights. It was sighted in, ready to go. So, and when I say sighted in, the sights were neutraled out. They weren't
right,
pushed to the left. They weren't pushed to the right. And we found that to be perfectly fine, as it should be. We didn't have to move the sights. So this may have just been a one-time thing. It was a Monday or a Friday, slide or whatever. But that's just something that we found when doing our testing, is that, they did have that sight pushed over a little bit.
All right, let's chamber one in the Glock 43X.
Same issue. So one of the things that we did run into with the Glock 43X in particular was it's not necessarily a gun issue, but it was an issue that we were having pretty consistently with one or two of the mags that we had. And it's that, and we do have a snap cap in here, just so you guys know it's not a lot around. But we did have an issue that on the last round, when it would go to chamber it, it would lock open. So I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a snap cap in there right now, a black snap cap. So if I depress the slide stop slide release, it chambers that round and it shoots it out. So what was actually happening is the follower, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the spring pressure, if these mags are getting wore out or whatever. They shouldn't be doing this,
No.
but the issue that we had is the round was actually oriented a little, sticking a little straighter up than normal, and it was causing this slide stop slide release to actually engage into that little cutout on the slide. So it's locking the slide back, and it was.
And then it only happened on the last round because that's where it's exposed.
Yeah, it was every time. It was on the last round. And when I say every time, it was every time with this mag.
Yep.
Weirdly enough, though, it didn't happen with the Dagger Micro. So we don't know 100%. We haven't done any more testing, trying to change out parts. This does have, to be fair, the Glock 43X that we have, I did put a Vickers Tactical little extended slide stop slide release just to give you a little bit more to grab onto when you're trying to get that slide to go down. I don't know if that's what's actually going on, if there's any extra parts on this, slide stop slide release that's making it, push up like that. But that was just something we noticed, is that every time on this mag particularly, and I think we had it a couple times on one more of our stock Glock mags, is that it was pushing that slide stop slide release up.
But with the PSA Micro Dagger mag, it worked perfectly fine in the 43X.
Now that we got the issues that we had with the guns out of the way, we'll kind of go in depth of what we experienced while shooting the guns, and kind of see what our final take is on the gun after putting, a few hundred rounds. I believe at this point, the Glock we've had for a while, so it's got a few thousand rounds in it. The Palmetto State at this point, we have combined maybe a little over 1,000 rounds through it. Majority of that being through this slide, the standard slide. But we do have, I would say, what you think, 300-400 rounds through that one?
Yeah, at least 400 through just this slide.
Okay,
and then a lot more in that one.
Both slides worked, fine. We didn't have any issues with the slides or anything like that. But
same barrel,
right? Same barrel. Yeah, when we bought, the slide and everything, we did just get the slide because the barrel works for both slides.
Right.
So, and we'll get into that while we're talking about that. So, price points. Everybody wants to know about price points. The Glock itself, that's not MOS. So I've owned an MOS model in the past. That was my carry gun for about a year. The MOS model is right at $489 to $499, depending on where you get it. And you may see it in other gun stores where they're charging a little bit more, that maybe go up to $529. But that's what we kind of found. It was $489 to $499. And then the standard Glock 43X was about $449?
Yeah.
And you may be able to find it cheaper depending on where you are. But that's kind of the range of what we found, was that $449 for the Glock. Why don't you tell them what the price range was?
Yeah, and the Palmetto, so the deal that we got, which it wasn't really a deal, it was a back in stock alert, so I shouldn't say deal, but the price for the Micro Dagger was $339, and then the price of the CS1 slide is what they call that, the comp slide, that was another $180 spent. Again, that's without the barrel and the recoil spring, because you can use it from the other slide. So it came out to about, what is that, about $530?
Yeah, about $530.
So you're getting, both slides for around what you're getting the Glock MOS for.
Yep. Yeah, and what we had talked about is the standard Glock versus the standard Micro. That's where the kind of big difference is, because you can get, the comp is cool, don't get me wrong, but if you're just comparing apples to apples, which is really what the standard 43X and the standard Micro Dagger, you're getting the metal sights and you're getting your optic.
Well, I would say it doesn't really compare to the standard 43X. I would say it compares to the 43X MOS, because this comes optic cut, and it comes where you can put a light or whatever attachment you want on the front, that the standard 43X doesn't come with.
So you're making it a bigger difference.
Yeah, so I'd say it doesn't even compare to the 43X. It compares to the 43X MOS, which really, separates that price gap.
Yeah,
by another $50.
And that's a good point. I was kind of thinking standard versus standard.
Yeah,
because this is their standard. But you're right. I mean, for the not accessories, but for the upgrades that you get on the Dagger straight out of the box, you're right. I mean, it's an exact comparison to the standard or the MOS 43X. So, but price point, it's just kind of cool that Palmetto State can come out with a gun that's in our shooting exact same performance for a good $200 cheaper, which is awesome. And that is what we found today, is that the shooting, the performance, everything was phenomenal for both guns. The 43X did a great job, other than the couple hiccups that we had with the mags, which again is not really a gun issue, it's more of a mag issue, but they are Glock magazines. But the Palmetto State, I will say, in my opinion, and this is what this is our opinion on the gun. In my opinion, the Palmetto State Dagger Micro, it actually wins out over the Glock 43X.
Oh, absolutely.
The recoil, to me, is a little bit softer, and it may just be because of the grip, because we both, in shooting, we both kind of agreed that the grip on this one just feels a little bit better in your hand. And I don't know what it is about it, because when you put them over each other, they look exactly the same. But this gun just locks into your hand just a little bit better, and there is a little bit more of a swell down here than the Glock has, which kind of helps your fingers stay on the gun. But everything about the gun was very, very good. The recoil and the trigger was what was most surprising to me.
Right.
Because that's actually the one thing that I've always had a gripe about the 43X. And I'm not one of those sensitive shooters that has issues with pain or anything when we're shooting. But the little dingus right here on the Glock trigger shoe has always, for whatever reason, just made a hot spot on my finger.
Well, it doesn't make sense, because the way that they made it, it like tapers to the middle.
Yeah.
So even with that dingus there,
yeah,
it's not really going perfectly flush. You still feel it a little bit on your trigger finger.
Yep.
Whereas on the Micro Dagger, it's not a flat face trigger, but it's flat across on where your finger makes contact. Now, it's still a hinge trigger, so there's the curvature to it, but it's flat across, so it distributes the weight on your finger well.
Yeah, it's just a comfortable trigger. Yeah. I mean, that's the easiest. And like I said, we're not the guys out there that are trying to find something that just feels the best in your hand because we got soft hands or anything. That's not what we're talking about. It's just over a long period of time shooting, this just feels better in your hand over a long time, especially the trigger, like we're talking about. Just because there's no hot spots on your finger, you can just keep on shooting.
And what makes that a lot more comfortable is you don't get Glock bite. I got some scars on my hand right here from shooting the 43X, and the dovetail right here, is that what they call it, dovetail? Just covers over your beaver tail. My bad, same thing. Covers over your hand a little bit better, and the Glock, it'll get you. Yeah. Especially if you're kind of either grabbing it from a holster, you don't get the best grip on there. That skin that kind of hangs over, it's going to clip it.
Yeah. And as far as like trigger performance, I would say that the trigger on the Palmetto State Micro Dagger is a good bit lighter than the 43X. And it just got better as we shot it. So as we kept shooting and shooting, and you guys can see in the footage that we had in the shooting, we were able to shoot this gun pretty quick follow-up shots. So, and that's all due
relative to us.
Yeah. There's guys out there that could probably shoot a lot quicker than us, but it was just amazing what we could do with a small compact gun, or a subcompact gun. How well you can shoot with it, just because of the features that it's got, and one of those being an excellent trigger. And what we both talked about is the issue that we've had on some guns that we've done reviews on, like the Echelon, where it's just not pushing your finger out. And we understand that as you lighten up a trigger, a lot of times it's going to kind of diminish your reset. But this trigger is kind of the perfect mixture of light, easy to shoot, crisp, and it pushes your finger right back out when you go to do your reset. So it's very, very quick trigger to shoot because of that.
Yeah. And if I were to buy this gun for me to carry, I think I would go with buying the compensated slide.
Yeah.
Straight out. Like if I'm really trying to save money and I can't afford to have both, I would try and wait it out to get the compensated slide because the length of the barrel is never, or the slide, I should say, has never really bothered me. And this makes it the exact same length as a Glock 19. So if you can carry a Glock 19, we do have the PSA Dagger Compact
without the
so
comp.
exactly, and so these are the same length as the standard compact, but this comp is included or integrated in the slide.
Yeah.
So you see, Connor, before we ever got this micro dagger, when we were testing out the PSA, he wanted to put a comp on there because it really does help. I've seen some, reviewers are like, "Oh yeah, you notice it a little bit." I notice it a lot. When we swap between the two slides, I mean, it really helps out with that recoil and just helping out with making those follow-up shots.
Yep.
So it's an accessory on the gun that helps you shoot better, in my opinion. And you're not really losing. There's no downside to it.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about not even having to worry about it. This thing right here, nothing against it. Harrington Arms makes this comp, and it's a really, really cool comp for the money. I think I paid like 89. I know this is not what this video is about, but if you guys have a micro or a standard dagger and you want a comp, they make a really affordable comp for these guns that are excellent. But getting back to the micro dagger, you don't have to worry about it. This one, you've got to put Loctite on the threads. You got to screw it on. You got to make sure it's indexed. And then you got to go and put your set screws. This is milled right into the slide. There's nothing you have to do. You don't have to.
Every time you go to clean that, you're going to have to take those little screws out.
This works just like any other normal gun. You take your barrel out. It's very easy. You can take it apart, clean it, and you never have to worry about set screws or anything like that. So, it's a really, really sleek design. It's clean. It's easy to use, and it's really effective because like you said, when you guys can see in the footage that we had on this gun, it's just really, really excellent on keeping that muzzle down. But like he's saying, the main review that we did between the two is the standard slide and the standard 43X. So the question is, what would you buy if you had to go buy one right now? Would you put the money into the Glock knowing the company behind it, what they offer as far as warranties, perfect Glock perfection, or would you go with the Palmetto State, it being a newer gun manufacturer company and a little bit new to the micro pistol game? Which one are you going to go with?
So my money, I'm going with the PSA, and I do like Glocks. To be fair, the gun I run on my duty belt is a Glock. So I do love, not love, but I like Glocks. Love is a strong word to give to a gun. So, it'd have to be very impressive for me to say love. But with the PSA, I like saving money because I like to put upgrades on my gun.
Yeah.
So whether it be an optic, a flashlight, saving money for a holster, which I can't wait for people to start coming out with holsters for these. I'm not sure if they work in the 43 MOS holsters, but we tried it with the standard 43 holster and it didn't work just because it didn't fit that.
Same deal with the MOS Glock and a standard Glock holster. It's not going to fit because you've got your pick.
So we haven't tried it with an MOS holster, but there's going to be accessories that I know I am going to put on this gun. Like I would definitely throw an optic on there, so I can put that money towards that. And of course, the magazine, I was kind of worried about it because it's kind of half polymer, half steel, and we have not had any problems with it.
Yep.
And so I would trust my life with this gun. It was 100% reliable, and you're saving money ultimately.
Yeah.
So I don't see why you wouldn't go with that. And I would go with the compensated slide. I know I said that, but if it was me, I would go ahead and get that compensated slide.
Yeah, and I'd hate to agree with Joshua because it's Joshua,
wow.
But I do have to say if it was, I'm usually the person that's more about, the high quality, the name brand stuff. Yeah. But when it comes to the Palmetto State Armory stuff, it's excellent for the money. I mean, I really don't know that you can beat it for the money. And it's not even for the money. Like we're talking about, between the two, this gun really outperformed the 43X.
So let me ask you this. Here's a tough question. If they were the same price, which one would you go with?
I'd still go with the 43. I mean the Palmetto State Micro Dagger.
Really?
Because again, are you talking about a standard 43X or MOS?
MOS.
Yeah, I mean I still think I'd have to go with Palmetto State just because the main thing here. I'll run through a few.
People are going to call us crazy.
I know.
Now.
Everybody loves Glock, but a few main things that really set it aside versus the Glock 43X is the sights for one. So the standard sights that come on it are the standard 3-dot, but they're metal and they are adjustable, and it's not got this goofy U in the back. I've never liked these sights. They're junk. They don't shoot good. I just don't like them. I don't. So every time,
but they're lightweight and polymer.
I don't care. They're terrible. So every time we get a Glock, that's the first thing we do is take these goofy sights off and we put good ones on there. So this one comes with good sights right out of the box. The trigger, in my opinion, again, this is a lot of opinion, but it is based off of our shooting.
Mm-hmm.
The trigger's better. It's lighter. It's more crisp. Everything about the trigger to me is better. And I know people hate the hinge thing because Smith has it and all that, but I actually do like. I don't notice the hinge trigger at all. I wouldn't if I was blindly shooting it, I probably wouldn't know that it was a hinge trigger. So, and the grip. The Glock 43X grip, the little pyramids or whatever you want to call them that they do. You guys see the one we have. We actually put grip tape on there, or the Talon grips, the rubber ones, just because you start shooting this thing in the summer and it slides all over in your hands.
Right.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. The texturing on the Palmetto State, it's subtle, but if you just give it a little bit of pressure, it locks up good in your hands. So for those reasons, I would choose the Palmetto State Micro Dagger, even if they were the same price, because I think you're getting a lot more with that gun than you are with the Glock 43X. So
yeah, that's fair.
So we would love to hear what you guys think on the guns. If you guys have shot the Palmetto State Micro Dagger, let us know what you guys think about it. If you would like to see any kind of build series or something like that on the Micro Dagger, if you want to see us do some upgraded triggers in there, or test out some optics on there, whatever you guys would like to see, let us know.
Make him spend some money.
Yeah, we'll spend some money on you guys.
No, not will. Make him spend some money.
I'll spend some money on you guys. So, but just let us know. And if you guys don't mind, like, share, and subscribe. Send this video to somebody who's looking for a new carry gun. Let's try and get as many people in this country armed so they can protect themselves. So, like I said, we appreciate you guys, paying attention and watching our videos, and we'll catch you next time.